Hello, my name is Mike and this is the home of Guns and Horsepower, and in today's video I'm going to talk about the top 5 things I love about my Porsche Panamera S. Like a lot of you out there are in the market for a first gen Panamera, so I'm going to go ahead and make some videos to go ahead and help you with your decisions. Number 5 on my list of the things I love about my Porsche Panamera has turned out to be its dependability. Ever since I bought this car, it's been extremely reliable. I was a little nervous at first, did a little research before I bought it, but I couldn't really find any overlying issues with the car. So I went ahead and took the chance and got it, but it's turned out to pay off quite nicely. Within my first year of ownership, I did get a check engine light that came on, and it turned out to be a misfire on the number 3 cylinder. Well, around that mileage was about the time the spark plugs were supposed to be changed anyway. So I went ahead and changed the plugs, which was a maintenance item, and I went ahead and changed the ignition coils as well. And ever since then, it's been running perfect. I've had to change the brakes, but that was just due to age and wear. So far, so good. Keep my fingers crossed. The car has been extremely reliable and extremely dependable. So that's the number 5 thing I love most about my Porsche Panamera. The number 4 thing I love about my Porsche Panamera is the looks, the exterior and interior. The car has beautiful lines, classic Porsche styling, and the interior is exquisite. The interior of this car is absolutely gorgeous. I prefer darker interior. This has got the dark black leather with the walnut trim, a little bit of polished aluminum to go with it. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's so comfortable in there. When you first open the door, you just get hit in the face with that smell of leather. It's absolutely awesome. The gauge cluster, the analog tack, the Porsche logo. You got the leather, the wood. One of my favorite features is the ignition is on the left-hand side, as I'm left-handed, and it just makes things so intuitive for me. The number 3 thing that I love about my Porsche Panamera is its performance. The performance from this 4.8 liter V8 is pretty exceptional. It's rated at 400 horsepower and 396 foot-pounds of torque. But as I've found out, Porsche is famously known for underrating their engines. And I can attest to the fact that this thing definitely feels like it's producing a lot more than 400 horsepower. It propels this 4-door sedan that weighs nearly 4,000 pounds quite easily, and it can achieve speeds of well over 170 miles an hour. I have yet to get some true 0 to 60 times, but stay tuned, I'll come up with those shortly. With the available sport settings that you can have this be a mild-mannered V8, or you can change it into a straight monster. Luckily, this car is equipped with the sports package, so I have the button to press in the sport mode. Here, let me turn that off so I'll show you what happens. There's nothing engaged, so this is comfort mode with the suspension and the lowest tune for the engine and trans. Once I press sport mode, it automatically puts it on the first level of firmness with the suspension, and it increases the revs just a little bit. The steering does stiffen as well, but just moderately. Once you go to Sport Plus, the car will now operate out of first gear for launches, and that's how you activate launch control. You have to be in Sport Plus. The suspension moves up to its firmest setting, and now this thing is ready to hit the roads and hit the canyons as hard as you can. Like I said, this engine definitely performs. It performs like it produces a lot more horsepower than you would expect. Now it's time for me to talk about the number 2 thing that I love most about my Porsche Panamera S, and it is the transmission. Yeah, believe it or not, the Porsche 7-speed PDK double clutch transmission is absolutely magical. This thing is absolutely amazing in automatic mode. Yes, you can drive it as a manual, but I rarely do. Once in a while, just to be a little different. The automatic mode is stunning. In automatic mode, it performs flawlessly. It shifts hard, and it shifts faster than a human can shift a manual themselves. So anytime I drive this car out in the twisties or want to get some performance out of it, I definitely leave it in automatic mode. It's just flawless. It downshifts perfectly. It blips the throttle for you. It holds revs. It just seems to know what you need before you even know you need it. So this transmission is just perfect. This is the number 2 thing I love about my Porsche Panamera S. You can drive it as a manual, put it down in the drive, move over, now you're in manual mode. You can bump it up to upshift and down to downshift. But it doesn't shift quite as fast doing it that way. It's still much quicker when you leave it in automatic mode and let it do its thing. Now it's time for me to reveal the number 1 thing I love about my Porsche Panamera S, and it is the handling. This car has superb handling. I don't know if it's in all Porsches, that's what they say, it's bred in their DNA, but this car handles phenomenally. Once you get out on the twisties, you quickly forget that there's another set of doors behind you. And the weight of this car, it's not overpowering. You don't really notice it that much. And this car weighs slightly under 4,000 pounds, and it's the rear-wheel drive only version. So it's a little bit lighter than the four-wheel drive, but it goes into the corners like nothing else I've ever driven. I've never owned or driven a Porsche before this, but their handling is superb, like nothing else. This car, I've taken it to the Porsche Club's autocross day down at the stadium, and I turned a best lap time of 1:23, 1 minute and 23 seconds. I know that doesn't mean anything to you guys, but to give you a little bit of reference, there was a Ferrari 438 there, and it was turning similar times, 123s and 125s. So that's a rear-engine V8, supercar pretty much at the time when it came out, and compared to a 4-door sedan. And that was my first time doing autocross, so I feel like with a little bit more seat time in this bad boy, I can get it down to probably 121 on that same course. And that's respectable times. That's very close to the top times of the day, which I believe was like a 117, 118, and those were by prepped Boxers and Caymans, race prepped cars. So this car performs exceptionally well, and that's my number 1 thing I was surprised when I got it about, was the handling. It's absolutely superb. Let me show you a little bit of this handling if I can. It's my number 1 thing I love about my Porsche Panamera. Ooh, it's like tourist spotting out here. So much traffic today. A little tough filming it. I got one hand on the camera holder and one hand on the steering wheel. I'll show you a little bit more if I could use both hands to steer this thing. Brakes. I gotta take it a little easy on the braking. Take it easy on the braking. I can't come into the corners as hard as I want. I got some fresh brakes on here. is unbelievable. I'm testing my Panamera's handling, and I come across this scene. Looks like I handle better than a Corvette. Well, there you have it. There's the 5 things that I love about my Porsche Panamera. Stay tuned for my next video where I discuss the 5 things that I hate about my Porsche Panamera. Alright, well, thanks again for watching. Please browse the channel and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again.